Godzilla, king of the monsters, alive, surging up from the depths of the sea on a tidal wave of terror to wreak vengeance on mankind.
Godzilla, king of the monsters, it's alive.
A gigantic beast,
Stalking the earth, crushing all before it.
in a cyclonic cavalcade of electrifying horror.
Raging through the streets on a rampage of total destruction.
Godzilla, king of the monsters,
Incredible titan of terror.
wiping out a city of 6 million in a holocaust of flame.
Jet flames cannot destroy it.
Bombs cannot kill it.
All modern weapons fail.
Is this the end of our civilization?
Can the scientists of the world find a way to stop this creature?
Or the answer, see Godzilla, king of the monsters.
You may wish to deny it, but your eyes tell you it's true.
A tale to stun the mind.
More fantastic than any ever written by Jules Verne.
More terrifying than any ever shown on the screen.
Awesome.
Incredible.
Unbelievable.
A story beyond your wildest dreams.
Dynamic violence.
Savage action.
Spectacular thrills.
Godzilla, king of the monsters.
Fantastic beyond comprehension.
Gripping beyond compare.
Astounding beyond belief.
The mightiest monster of them all.
See Godzilla, king of the monsters.
Hi everyone, and welcome once again to Geekfest Rants. My name is Carlos Perron, and today I am joined here by Mike Sutton. Say hi, Mike.
Hi, Mike.
And Mike Conway. Say hi, Mike.
Hello.
Today we are going to be doing a commentary on the movie Godzilla. Now, there's lots of versions of this movie, lots of formats. I'm sure some of us here probably own it on VHS and other newer formats. But today we are going to be doing a Blu-ray version of the original one. Now, Mike, tell us a little bit about the specific one we're dealing with today.
This is the Godzilla King of the Monsters, 1956 with Raymond Burr. We're watching the Criterion Blu-ray version.
Right.
That's pretty much all you need to know. I mean, yes, you're right. There's so many different copies out there. Over the years, it keeps getting released over and over and over. But this is the Criterion, which is an excellent copy, by the way.
Yes. Now, keep in mind that we are going to cue up the film now, and we're going to do our usual visual cues as we do on most of our commentaries. This particular disc itself has both versions on it, but if you go to the main menu, which is where we're on right now, and you scroll down to the supplement section, and we're going to do that right now just like you are, it opens up a new set of windows. You go to the top, the one that says Godzilla, King of Monsters. That's the one we are watching. So let's click on that right now. Now. And it gives us the option of playing it. Let's play it now. And we're still on the menu, and it's switching over. And we'll give you some more cues just to get everybody lined up correctly. You have the Criterion logo starting up.
Yeah, which, just in my opinion, I'm so glad that Criterion finally came out with this copy. They did a great job. Listen to the other commentaries by David Kalat, and you learn a lot of things.
And
It's
Japanese logo.
Yeah, there's just so much out there that's well worth buying.
And the audio just kicked in with the Trans World release
And Godzilla's Footsteps.
logo. So, movie will start in just about a second. Boom, we're in. All right, Mike, take it away.
Well, as everybody can see, it's Godzilla, King of the Monsters. Again, no, this is the American version where it's been altered from the original Godzilla from 1954. What they felt is they had to add in Raymond Burr to make it more palatable to people because you got so many English characters, it's not all strictly Japanese. So, and there's Raymond Burr.
Now, obviously, to everybody watching this is black and white. I mean, I'm used to seeing Godzilla usually in some 60s color version, but not the original, right?
Right, yeah, the original was in black and white.
And they never colorized it?
Never colorized it, thank God.
Not yet.
It's not yet. You do also have Gigantus the Fire Monster, or Godzilla Raids Again, which is the title of the Japanese version. That one's in black and white. But that's another day, another commentary we can do. with Gigantus.
Now, you said before that this is the Raymond Burr version. Here's Raymond Burr, and he's narrating. How is this different than the Japanese version? The original version?
Well, again, it's very different because they moved a lot of the scenes around. They've changed the story a little bit. It's not as dramatic as the original movie. They did take some plot lines out and things, so we'll go over that as the movie's playing.
Now, did they shoot it both ways on purpose, or was the American version an afterthought in terms of marketing?
It was an afterthought.
Okay.
Yeah, the movie was very popular in '54, and yet again they wanted to add American actors to do something that people could relate to instead of looking at strictly Japanese.
So I guess like American audience would identify
exactly
Raymond Burr than just a complete
some
Japanese
unknown
cast.
Japanese
So there was
actor.
no Americans in the original Godzilla.
Right. Correct. Now, here's just something interesting. When in all the Godzilla movies, you've never saw the aftermath of Godzilla's destruction. This, for the original movie and even King of the Monsters, they're showing what happens after Godzilla destroys the city. Like you had the little girl, that's her mother. You're assuming looking at the mother, and she's dead. But
Now,
like all the other movies ever since, the other 25 movies,
like-
not until GMK,
Everything gets wiped away,
Right.
clean.
he destroys the buildings, trains, but you never saw anybody die.
Well, is
This is the only movie from the original series that you actually saw that.
Is it possible that obviously the future movies were more commercial, and by that time they realized they wanted an American audience watching it? Now, this movie, if you look at the origin of Godzilla, it's a little bit about the aftermath of nuclear reaction to some place getting completely wiped out, and it would have been way too negative of a theme for an American audience.
Now, you have to realize this movie was an anti-nuclear movie. This is an anti-nuclear war.
Mm-hmm. And it's obvious what war they're talking about because they have a history.
Right, it's World War II. Now, here's the fun things, too, how this is where their editing was really good. Now, this was all filmed in California, and I don't remember what the studio was. But if you look, like Emiko, you never see her face. They've got clothes that were very similar to the Japanese wardrobe. And she never turns around. And you got to watch that through the rest of the film.
They couldn't find the actress?
Well, no, she came from Japan. They weren't looking to pull anybody from Japan.
They just needed to do it
They just
homemade.
needed to do something homemade to make it fit in. See, like...
Oh, yeah, the pattern's different. You're right.
The pattern's
Right.
different. But like when I was a kid and I used to watch this, I never put two
Look at
and
the
two
pattern.
together.
That's really good.
And again, as you watch, you'll never see her face. It's always from behind. And when other characters show up and they interact with Steve Martin, they're always from behind. It's something really wild.
Now, this isn't the Steve Martin we know these days, is it?
Yes, this is not the comedian Steve Martin with the arrow through his head going,
No.
King Tut.
Different Steve Martin.
Yeah.
Not a wild and crazy guy, Steve Martin, huh?
Yeah. So, but again, the original movie was an anti-war.
Wait a minute, you're not allowed to smoke on planes. Oh, wait a minute.
Well, you are.
It's the 50s.
Back there in the 50s.
Look at the curtains on the wall. Wow.
Yeah, curtains over the windows.
No gremlins on the window.
Now, let me ask you
Now,
something.
this
File footage back then, standard thing, even in Japanese films? Or you think the file footage is more of the American side?
No, it's more of the American side. This is the way the movie really starts, where it's the boat's out there, there's a big flash of light, and they take it from there. But again, with the American version, they had to change things around.
The narration and everything. Okay.
But now, just think about this, too. If you're Japanese, you're on the boat, big flash of light is what? It's a nuclear bomb exploding.
Right. So this is where the original Godzilla would have started.
Would have started.
So they didn't start with the hospital scene.
No, it's
No,
this.
Exactly. There's nothing.
A mysterious
nothing
water
with-
attack or something.
Yeah. It's the boat's out there, it gets attacked. They send more vessels, those ships get blown up. And it starts off as a big mystery. You know, and this all goes back to the idea where the first Godzilla movie came from was Lucky Dragon number 7. It was a tuna fishing boat that went into an area where they were testing the atomic bombs. and had a lot of radioactive fallout. And they thought they can go there, do some fishing, grab some tuna, and they went there, but they ended up getting radiation sickness and dying. And that was part of the driving of this movie when Tomoyuki Tanaka wanted to make the movie. That was something on the back of his head, because there was a lot of fish that were caught that was filled with radiation, and Japanese people ate it. You know, people would fish, bring the fish back, and
get sick.
They got sick. And it's just ironic. Lucky Dragon number 7 wasn't very lucky, and that was the name of the boat. One thing I always want to do, and I've just never done, just really make the time, is to go into a library and search back the old newspapers. Really try and find some articles
to get the origins of all
this from '54 and see what was out like in the U.S. But I just never done that. I've always thought about that as a cool idea, to sit there and getting all that information out, and maybe even doing something at G-Fest. Like, here's some of the original articles.
It's funny because this format, I don't know if this is the first time they've ever did something like this, or other countries did it, where you shoot a movie and then you inject new scenes for different audiences around the world. But even recently, they still do this with like Power Rangers and some of these other things, where they'll have a one version of it, right, and then they'll shoot American scenes and edit them together to kind of look like the same, and it's really not.
Yeah, exactly. It's a way just to use the footage, to make it new stories.
For an international audience.
Or international, yeah. But like nowadays, we're lucky that people will appreciate the original format, put it in subtitles, and just show it so you can see the original. You're not looking at something that's been made up and altered and changed.
Well, that's what American film companies used to think, is that, there's no American they could identify with this, so they don't want to read the subtitles and stuff.
Was it ever released in America with subtitles, like the first wave, when it first came out, as a foreign film?
Not in the 50s. It was only this version.
You had to wait for the American version.
Yeah.
So the original 54 Godzilla was never released in America in 54.
No, it was released in 1956 when they added...
With this. So if you wanted to see that, you had to go to Japan.
Yeah. What was nice, now once you got the art houses that popped up and people started looking at the old movies, that's when the Rialto Pictures re-released it many years ago.
The original format.
The original format, the original Japanese subtitles, everything. And I watched it in Manhattan. I went into the film forum.
That's just it. For years, I thought this was the Godzilla movie. This was the Godzilla movie. You used to see the old 4:30 movie or anything else. This was the Godzilla movie.
Right.
Until I was after 25 or so, which is almost 20 years ago, I saw the original Godzilla. Yeah. I wish they released that when I was a kid.
This is amazing. This is a lot of footage that is like added, if you think about it.
Yeah.
So far, most of it is American footage.
Yeah, a lot of it is. And they did that to keep the story going. And like I said, it's interesting when you look. It works. But if you really start looking at it, it doesn't. But I said, when I was a kid, and American, I think, audiences,
What's interesting is that the stock, you can actually see a difference in stock footage. This looks a lot more grainy. There's a lot more like dropout on the film. This is much cleaner, much slicker. It's like a different grain or film speed or something.
It's their version of, Han shoots first.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't shoot first, I guess.
You know what's really neat is the way they made a lot of this stuff. This was filmed in Toho in the giant pool. All these are miniatures, all the ships that are getting
This is the place
exploded.
You visited, right?
That's where I got to go, yeah. We didn't see the big pool because Toho got rid of the pool several years ago. But that's the background's a matte painting.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a big pool. All the miniatures, the explosions, which is really cool.
Now, did they use a lot of, was all this stuff originally made for these films, or did they have leftover, World War II film miniatures?
No, for as far as I know, this is all new. They made this all for this movie. There's nothing, but I could be wrong, but from what I've heard, all this stuff was made for the new movie.
Especially if you're going to destroy it.
Well, it's just it. When you think about it, there's nothing that's going to last.
You can't just borrow anything.
You build it and you blow it up. And just talking about that, we're saying how things are getting exploded now. Eiji Tsuburaya was the gentleman who did all the special effects. And he did such a great job. And what he had done even before this movie, he had did some other movies on Attacking Pearl Harbor, and some other war movies, and that's one of the reasons he got picked.
Japanese movies or American?
Japanese movies.
Okay.
And that some people thought it was so realistic. Especially they claimed that some of the Americans, when Japan obviously we won, and they saw a lot of the movies, they thought that was actual footage
From the war.
And then they came out and said, well, nope, that was actually done by E.G. Tsuburaya. And when you look at it, back then, this was top of the line special effects of the 50s.
Well, give us a little bit of perspective. What's happening in the U.S. in the monster movie world around this time? What are we dealing with?
Well, this is the aftermath. I mean, before this, you had...
It's like them and...
You had them with the giant ants.
The ants and
you also had The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms.
Okay,
which was another
stop
popular
motion,
movie.
right.
Stop motion, Ray Harryhausen. And people always say it's because The Beast of 20,000 Fathoms did so well. That's why you got a Japanese monster movie. Now, the other thing, too, is... I forgot the producer's name. Drawing a blank, sorry, folks. But he always wanted to do a giant monster movie also. But he wanted a giant octopus. And that would be the creature that would destroy... And if you really look... It was Tomonuki Tanaka. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
If you look back at a lot of the movies afterwards, King Kong vs. Godzilla had a giant octopus. War of the Gargantuas, giant octopus. Frankenstein Conquers the World, the alternate ending, giant octopus. So he did get his octopus in there.
But not in this one.
But not in this movie.
And you're forgetting the best octopus film ever, Tentacles, back in 1970-something.
That was that Italian film, wasn't it? Yes, but we want to stick with Toho
the
right
classic
now.
Tentacles.
That was the spaghetti giant octopus movie.
That was the spaghetti.
Yeah, well, there was
Now-
a Harryhausen octopus.
Yes.
Which one was that?
It came from
From
beneath
Beyond
the sea.
Yeah.
Now, anybody else, if you look at this gentleman, I said everybody should know him. He was a famous actor from Japan. He was in Seven Samurais.
Wow.
Mifune, and I can't remember his first name.
That guy on the right looks very uncomfortable in that suit. He looks
He's
like he
not
doesn't want to
moving.
be in that suit.
Bleak. See, this is where things changed in the American version and the Japanese version. With all the disasters and things were happening, a lot of the villagers and the old man, like the gentleman on the right, they all said this is all because of Godzilla. That he was coming and he was destroying the boats, and that's why they couldn't find any fish. And yet, they took all that out of the American version. But in the original, he talks about all this is because of the god, and how the younger people are like, oh, that's an old wives' tale. I said, you're crazy.
Okay.
And he's like, no, we used to send out the virgin on the raft to appease him because he was a god. But again, they changed that when it came to the U.S. version. All those little things they took away. Now, there's a funny comment here. Again, continuity doesn't always work. But like saying, here's a survivor. Yeah, it wasn't a short one. Because if you watch, he pops up again later on in the movie. But they say, oh, he was a survivor and he didn't last very long. But if you look closer,
He'll be there later.
he pops up again. So how much of a survivor was he? So, like, this is where the scene's talking about now all the fishermen are coming in.
There's the fleet. The whole fleet's ready to go fight Godzilla.
Yeah, that's when they deleted some of the scenes. And they start showing all the empty nets and they start talking about it.
That's a very tall wall for a helicopter.
Yeah.
It's like they're in somebody's office.
Yeah, oh, interrogated. Not interviewed, interrogated, which I always thought was kind of funny.
And you get to see a cow's butt.
And again, just another added scene to keep it going. Oh, the reporter, and they get to talk to the islanders.
It's funny because all this American stuff looks like Universal Pictures are, the sets are some kind of homemade type of thing. You don't see very long shots because they don't want you to see how big it is or how small it really is.
Yeah. See, like that's all they say. Oh, these Islanders are superstitious. That's it? Oh, we got a ceremony. That's it? They didn't really go into detail. That's where things are being eliminated from the original. Yeah. Yeah, I don't remember that actor's name if he ever appeared in any other
future
films. Now, there was the other thing, too, in Toho, a lot of the early movies. If you look back at a lot of the Godzilla movies and many others, there's always musical numbers. There's always some kind of little performance going on. That they were very big on dance, music, because that was always part of the culture. And,
a musical interlude.
Yeah, but there was always something in a lot of their old movies.
So they worked it into this one somehow.
There you go.
I just wonder how much shorter was this film if there's so much American stuff in it. It might have been 70 minutes?
Well, again, yeah, there's a lot of little things that they just start chopping out.
Clipping out, yeah.
And they clip it out. And it works. It's still a very fun movie to watch. It's still a good movie. But it still loses a lot. And as things roll around, I'll throw out some other things here or there that, if you added it in, why they could have kept it in, it would have worked. No, but they didn't.
So these guys are investigating this missing ship, this shipping issues. Now, where is he from again? What's his connection?
Well, he's a reporter. He was on a plane, and that's it. That's his entire connection. Because he was a reporter, they said, "Okay, you can join." Which, when you think about it, makes no sense.
And why an American reporter?
And allow an American, reporter.
He just happened to be there.
He just happened to be there. It's okay. Yeah, you can join. It is kind of odd, but again, it's just a plot device. How you keep an American in the film. He's reporting back of what he sees.
Yeah, he looks pretty young back then.
Yeah, a young Perry Mason.
Yeah.
Yeah,
wasn't he Ironsides also?
Ironside, Mike? Yeah, I think it was
Ironsides.
No wheelchair.
No wheelchair, yeah.
Uh-oh,
Yeah,
Irwin Allen time.
Yeah, the typhoon's coming. Now, this is where I said, remember you saw the guy who survived?
Uh-oh.
Oh, he didn't last long. There he is.
He's all right.
He got better.
He got better.
You got to change your clothes?
Yeah.
Yeah, that little tent is not going to help you, buddy.
No. It's, your little typhoon. See, but now here's the scene where all that is, there's something walking, you've got the earthquake, and this is really, if anyone can figure it out.
Luckily, concrete is not used to build any of these houses, so things will just fall very easily.
Yeah, and he's running out to see what's going on. And then here's the ironic part is he survives the attack by Godzilla on the boat, washes ashore, makes it home. He's still alive. But what happens now is he ends up dying.
Well,
because
are we supposed to believe it's the same character?
No, you're not supposed to believe it's the same one. But ironically, that's him in his house. And if you look to the left,
there's a foot.
There's Godzilla walking. He got trampled on.
Godzilla wanted him, I guess.
And Godzilla ends up, so he couldn't escape his fate of the ship disaster. Come back. Either way, he was going to die.
Red shirt.
So, kind of, red shirt from Star Trek. But this is where, again, you're looking at it, it's a typhoon.
So Godzilla's first appearance is just a foot.
Yeah, really his first appearance, it's just a little bit of a foot.
A little bit of an ankle, kind of.
A little bit of an ankle, and you really don't see it. It's just off to the side. And again, but this is all great miniature shots.
Yeah.
I just love.
Yeah.
I just love this stuff.
High speed photography, so everything looks slow motiony and slower.
And then Godzilla stepped on the helicopter.
That looks like a toy.
Sure. That's not a model, is it?
That was a model. But again, it's just a cool scene. Even when it opens up in the beginning of the film, which I didn't get a chance to talk about, just the blinding flash of light and the water bursting into fire. It's such a dramatic scene.
There's the rest of the
how
press.
that movie starts. When you really think about it, if we go back a bit, Japanese version where that's the movie? It's nice and calm, and all this a boat.
Well, they're showing it to you in
relaxing,
stages
bam.
and very quick. Very. It's
So-
it's the old rule: show little a bit at a time.
A little bit at a time.
I think that goes to even Jaws. When you don't see Jaws for 3/4 of the movie.
Well, that's
Exactly.
because Jaws shark didn't work.
Oh, we're not supposed to know that.
Oh, we're not
Build
supposed to know that.
suspense.
Yeah. See, this is actually when you watch the original Japanese version, they're actually sitting there saying that, yeah, you know what? There was something in there. The buildings were crushed. This wasn't a typhoon. A creature stepped down, and he's actually talking about the helicopter.
They could have given us the subtitles here. That would have been all right.
Yeah, I agree. You could have left some of it in, saying, you know what?
Just to give
We
us a
think
little more.
It's real. It's because of a monster stepping on it.
Now-
And that's why he's here as the Dr. Yamane comes out, because he's a paleontologist. They think it's a giant creature. That's why he's called in to investigate and help out. But you lose that.
Yeah, there's no sign of that.
There's no reason why, okay, he's a doctor. Why is he here? Oh, because he's a doctor.
And they're not showing you his face because he's. Or are they dubbing him? They're dubbing him.
Oh, yeah, he's being dubbed into English. And now there's some of the scenes that they take out are people arguing over if it's Godzilla, what should we do? The people should know. And there's there's a women's group saying that everybody has the right to know exactly what's going on. And then there's another man who's saying, no, we can't do that. If we do that, our economy is going to fall apart. There's going to be repercussions. We can't discuss this. And she's like, no, we have to. So there's little political messages in there that they take out from the Japanese version. I mean,
They
from the Japanese
completely
version, they
ignore
just ignore it. And, when you think about it, they're right.
There's that
If you
back of the head
think-
trick again.
Yeah, see, back of the head. You never saw him from front.
Whose head was that?
Whose head was that? But it's just something that you could have left in because it adds more to the drama. But for some reason, they felt you really didn't need it.
Well, I guess they gotta have a Raymond Burr's character figure it out, or throughout the story,
Exactly.
gives him something to do.
Now, in the 50s, a big monster movie like this, or even an American one, who was the main audience for that? Is it considered a kids thing, or regular adults would, make up the box office of a big monster movie?
People would always say it was kids, but I always say it was more of adults. But that was me. I always thought it was more of adults. It wasn't all geared towards kids, but that was my opinion.
It wasn't transformerized.
Yeah, there's Ogata. I met him several times.
Huh?
Akira Takarada. What a gentleman. And Momo Kochi is the woman that was over there.
At your G-Fest or other conventions?
No, G-Fest. Yeah, Momo Kochi, I believe she already passed away, but Akira Takarada, he's been at G-Fest a couple times. He was with us in Japan, gave us a tour of Toho Studios. So
Now, is he a popular actor in Japan, or
yes, he is. He's like a Cary Grant. He's a very popular.
even back in the 50s?
Well, and this was like
like
his second movie.
Oh, so
Second or third movie. He was
Right.
just starting out, but as time went by, he ended up becoming a big actor.
has he done other Godzilla movies?
Here's real quick. If you look in the back,
Is that a
that's-
footprint?
That's a footprint.
Ah!
Oh, cool.
And if you look, that's actually a matte shot, which is the other reason why you want to buy this Criterion. They actually have the matte, some of the matte shots that were used to a lot of the films
In the
And
supplemental
in
material?
the supplementals, yeah. And that was actually a footprint. Sorry
That's
to cut
weird. I
you
wonder why
guys
they
off.
didn't do it for real. I mean, it's just dig a hole,
Well, you can't dig a hole that big. But it was pretty cool when you got to look back. There's some other scenes where you can see more footprints. And it shows that, the village was destroyed by a giant creature. Not this one, it's a typhoon or something more. So, but going back to, Akira Takarada, he became a very big actor.
Oh, there it is. There's a hole.
Yeah, very big actor, very popular. He sings, he dances, he does a lot of things. Yeah. See, and that too is what they're doing is they're standing in Godzilla's footprint. See, even
which also
Dr.
was
Imani
otherwise
agrees.
the movies like in the King Kong remake.
This is radioactive. We should not be here.
Standing in the big, footprint.
Yeah. And it's all, yeah, exactly. It's radioactive. Because you got strontium-90.
Don't worry, that plastic coat is protecting him from absolutely nothing.
Right. And the rubber gloves.
And the rubber gloves.
Yes. Let's all stand on it.
Yeah. You stand 20 feet back, you'd be okay.
Yes,
Hold
it's
your
radioactive, but you're okay. Yeah.
Duck, roll, and cover. Ooh.
Yeah, and he
An
finds
ancient, what do you call those? I forget.
a trilobite.
I'm touching it with my fingers, my bare fingers.
Well, that's why he's saying don't hold it with your bare hand.
It means you have to wash your hands.
Well, yeah, that too. But no, a 3-second rule, right? As long as you touch it, radiation
eat
doesn't
it.
pop up on your hands.
Uh-oh.
And there's the alarm.
It's our security system.
You know, you got this a sighting and everybody's running.
What did he see?
Now-
He saw something?
Yeah, they're going Godzilla, Godzilla.
Yeah, but...
Now, the other thing, too, is you've looked closer, and I tried to look at it, and I haven't really spotted it. Some people claim that if you look at the people running up the hill, they're actually laughing. It's the Japanese
she's
version.
laughing.
The Japanese version,
Oh.
not the American, but if you look at the Japanese, that some of the people are laughing and smiling because they really didn't know what they were doing. They were told you got to run up the hill, and they're going to run down the hill. They run up the hill, and they did it a couple times. Now, this is one of the best scenes in the
Here
movie.
comes. Oh, boy.
Yeah, as Godzilla comes out. And that was actually a hand puppet of Godzilla coming over the mountain. But not a great scene. His first appearance.
Oh.
And you hear the footsteps in the background.
Oh, my God. That looks so different. The sound is the same. Like, they maintained the sound. But they obviously
his roar.
changed the sculpt from this original one.
But again, it's one of
Have they made?
the iconic scenes. And actually, you can tell that's a matte shot if you really look at it a little bit.
There's a secondary.
The edges are
section,
just a
yeah.
little blurry. But it definitely worked. And again, for its time, and it's a great entrance. You hear the clang of the bell, you know something's there, you're running to safety, and meanwhile, you run right into the creature. Yeah, this is another cool matte shot coming up. Because you have all of his, say it, footprints.
Yeah.
That was another matte shot that they created. And a tail drag.
Oh, that's what that is.
Yeah, that's him walking back. It's his tail dragging. So. Yeah, so now we're back into the same, the same meeting, the government meeting. Which again, this is why if you look back in the original Gojira movie, they actually chop it
Here's
up.
a picture.
Yeah, they actually chop this up and then make it in 2 meetings, but it's reality. It's the same meeting.
Have they made models or toys that are more accurate to this film?
Oh yeah, yeah. Several companies have done it over the years. I don't remember the names, but yeah, they're out there.
'Cause I'm used to seeing
X
more
Plus.
of the color version, familiar
Yeah.
looking one, not
Yeah.
this original one.
They did. There's a lot of stuff out there. X Plus, I think, has done some. Bandai, probably. Trying to think who else. But there's a lot. You can definitely find it.
So you said a puppet version. Obviously, you got the man in the suit. Is there any other type of version of Godzilla in this film?
Yeah, if you want to say the half, they cut one of the suits in half. I read somewhere that it was too big. When they first made the suit, it was too big and heavy to actually walk around. So what they did is they cut it in half and made suspenders. So when you have all the walking and destroying the buildings for the bottom half,
Just to see the bottom.
just to see the bottom, he's, Haruo Nakajima's walking around.
That makes sense.
So, but that's it. But you had to realize too that when they were making this film, they would have loved to have done stop motion. Eiji Tsuburaya loved King Kong. King Kong came out in 1933, was re-released later on, and he was in love with it, but he wanted to do stop motion. But he couldn't because it would be too expensive and it would take too long. So they had to come up with a different way. How are we going to make a giant monster appear on the screen? So we put a man in a suit.
Miniature photography.
And miniature photography. Because Eiji Tsuburaya, again, he was doing all the miniatures of the ships and the tanks anyway for his other war movies. Now you just put a man in a suit and destroy the buildings. And I'll talk a little bit more when they get back later in the film about how they did a couple of things. So, but again, think about it too. This is back in '54. They created a new technique, which they became famous for. And everybody picks on, it's a man in a rubber suit. I said, yeah, but you got to understand, back when '54 and this movie was made, you couldn't do stop motion. They didn't have the money that America would have. They didn't have the time. If you did a stop motion of creatures destroying buildings for 15, 20 minutes and all the attacks.
No, it's too much.
It's going to take way too
Even
long.
Beast from 20,000 Phantoms, you get a little bit of a city attack, but it's a fraction of what you would need in a film like this.
Okay, now here's another famous backhead. So you've got Dr. Serizawa. You see him from the side.
Excuse me while I get my backhead. What? Wait a minute.
Well, it's not a backhead, but it's the side through the
And he's got an eye
tubes.
patch?
And he's got an eye patch. Well, Dr. Serizawa has an eye patch.
I didn't see it on the other shot.
Yeah, it's there. But again, if you throw up test tubes, that's how they were able to get the characters in and conveniently
foreground
placed. You could put them into the stories, and it all works.
Raymond Burr is laughing
But
at him.
again, as a kid, I'm like, okay, yeah, test tubes, yeah, it'll work. Looking at it, it's got older going, hey, wait a minute. This isn't right.
There you go. Okay.
Different hairstyle.
Did you dig the hairstyle?
No, I think it's different hairstyle.
Oh, different hairstyle. Yeah. Now, here's the thing, too, that they take a little bit out of this movie, but you have a love triangle.
Yeah, this relationship is like, huh? No, where's the third person in the Japanese triangle?
Well, Ogata was the guy who was on the boat that she was with.
Oh, okay.
She's actually in love with him. But again, he's been childhood friends. Basically, it's like he was going to be betrothed to her. Ideally, they wanted the arranged marriage. But she wasn't really in love with him. She always thought of him as more of a big brother. But she was in love with Ogata. Now, Dr. Serizawa, he's a cool character. He's got an eye patch. And you think it goes back to maybe in the war.
Here's my secret lab.
He got injured.
Of course, if he's American, eye patch and a scientist, he has to be evil.
Makes him evil.
Where's his twirling mustache?
But he's not evil.
You know what I'm saying? If he's in America, in the 50 movies and whatever.
Yeah. He'd be dastardly.
Right, he'd be the evil doctor, mad scientist.
But this starts setting up a lot of the scenes, and there's a lot of drama, really, that kind of goes into this, and she gets to see something
Fishies.
that he's been working on, and not the fishies.
At least he doesn't have any floating heads in there.
Yeah. Why would you have floating heads? Piranha. Yeah,
Uh-oh.
no piranha, no floating
I
heads.
should look at that.
The other thing odd is it's kind of cloudy water to have fish inside. I guess he didn't put enough chlorine. Oh, wait, no, chlorine would kill the fish.
Oh, he's feeding them? Uh-oh, wait a minute. He's going to electrocute him?
He's a mad scientist.
Well, yeah, he's the mad scientist.
Uh-oh. Stand back.
That's far enough.
That's far enough. Now, I always remember when I saw this re-released, and again,
What the hell
the
just
Gojira
happened?
version, and the people in the theater laughed at that. And they laughed at a lot of her reactions.
Well, they had to show you what happened.
Well, but that's part of the mystery. You don't want to know yet. You don't need to know yet what she saw.
Did he turn the fish into like a chicken or something? I would scream if I saw that.
Chicken fish.
Chicken fish?
Fish fingers?
Okay,
chicken
it's not
fingers?
a Roger Corman film where they've been mutated into Shucktopolis.
Shucktopolis.
Or, I don't know, what's another bad one?
Oh.
Which, how those make money still blows my mind.
Reptilicus.
Well, not Reptilicus. That was a Danish giant monster movie. That's a fun movie. So, and here's the other thing too.
The thing with two heads.
The thing with two heads, yeah. There's Ogata. Now the kid on the right was actually the brother to the guy who survives on the raft, but he ends up dying. But
Wasn't
he's
he the
one
guy
of
screaming in
he
the-
goes
in the
running
rain?
out into the rain. Yeah,
Yeah, that's the guy who's
And
screaming.
what happens is Ogata, they actually, I guess, adopt him, but they take responsibility for him and they bring him back to Japan.
She's like, I
But
like
you
you
can
much
see
better.
she's all upset from what she saw.
You don't experiment on fish. I like you.
Yeah, I don't think that was it.
Meanwhile, 30 years earlier,
Yeah. No, now you're going back to what are you going to do to kill or destroy a creature that
Now-
lives underwater?
now
you get
here's something weird.
stock footage from the military.
Because
and
now here's
you
the
can have
question: wasn't Japan demilitarized after the war? Weren't they like not allowed to have any more fleets?
it. Yeah, but I would think, I know, Mike, you're the bigger history buff than I am.
At that time, yeah, I believe they didn't.
By
It was
50,
allowed to have the standing army or navy at the time. Well, as they say, it's a movie.
Now, here's something, he's the doctor, he's a scientist. He can't watch what's been happening because they're trying to kill Godzilla.
he wants to learn.
Well, he does. When you think about it, and this is where they start talking about it, is you get a creature that survives a nuclear bomb.
With what?
But he's right, though. It should be studied, but he's a pure scientist. If you get a nuclear bomb, back then, all they knew about, we dropped 2 bombs in Japan, all the death and destruction. Now you found a creature, and the trilobite, that both survive a nuclear blast. He'd rather study it because why did it survive? It should be dead, from what everybody knows back then, and or anything with radiation. If you absorb radiation, you're gonna die. This is something that in the movie he acts like a true scientist. He doesn't want to destroy Godzilla. He wants to study it, examine it. Why?
He's like
His
those
big answers of why.
He's like in War of the Worlds, those 3 guys waving the white flag at it.
No, those were just we just want to be friends.
We want to be friends. Ah.
He just wants to be friends, but no, he really wants to study it. Why did it work? But that's a true scientist.
I hear
why
footsteps or something. Underwater footsteps. Anybody order a pizza?
Yeah, you gotta. Godzilla shows up.
Oh boy. See, they shouldn't do the sound effects of the steps. He's in the water. They should just do the scream.
It's actually funny. I think in the Japanese version, I have to watch it again. You don't hear the footsteps. You see the head come out. I don't remember because that's another thing too. When you compare this movie King of the Monsters to the original, they do take a lot of things out. They add music. They add sounds that were not there. And of course, now you have the great score from Mikiro Fukube. That military march. And that was something, just talking about music, when Akira Fukube was asked to do the soundtracks for the movies and the movie scoring, he was told by a lot of his colleagues and friends, don't do it. You don't want to do that. Because back then, nobody looked at creating musical scores for movie soundtracks as good work.
As something
You,
respectable.
you don't want right. It's not respectable. You don't want to do that.
You're slumming it.
Slumming it, yeah. You just want to say slumming it, but he didn't want to do that yet. He did it, and his themes have been used in all 26 movies, and he became a famous composer. Now, even before he became known for his Godzilla movies, he actually wrote classical music, which a lot of people don't realize. Oh, he just did all the Godzilla movies. No, he created a lot of classical music. He was trained, classically trained. I can't remember the gentleman's name. And it's just amazing what his career is out there.
Now, did the American version, this version, keep all of his music, or did they add any
kept
additional
all of his music?
Okay, so
kept
they didn't mess
his
with
music.
that.
They didn't mess with it. The only movie that they messed with his music was King Kong versus Godzilla. If you listen to it, it's the music, stock music from the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Oh my God!
Wow.
And you got to watch both movies and go, yeah, that's the music.
So
Why they took
choose
away
that one to...
all of his music and put it in.
Now,
don't
what are
know.
those back there? Islands or ships? Because they look like lighthouses.
I would think it's a lighthouse, or an island. But yeah, just to finish with it, Kyoto Fukabe, listeners, you're out there. You like his music? Go find some of his other classical music. The other thing too is he used to score like 2 or 3 movies a year.
Oof.
In the heyday. He's scored something like 200 or 300 movies.
he was John Williams of his time.
He was the John Williams of his time. Yeah, he's done so much.
Plus, he did classical music on the side, not just
Yeah.
scores.
And when he was 15 or 16, I think it was Japanese Rhapsody, he created, composed, and he won an award in Japan for it.
Oh,
and
here it
again, I think
goes.
that's the reasons why people didn't want him to do that, because you're doing classical music. Why would you go and do a monster movie? Why would you do that?
It pays the bills.
Pays the bills, yeah. Well, I'm glad he did. He's one of my favorite composers. Unfortunately, he's number one. John Williams, unfortunately, is below. But that's me. Yes, I love Star Wars. I love the music. Love this much better.
So he's your number one film composer compared to, like you said, John Williams and Horner and wrestling?
Oh, yeah. I would put a Fukabe up there at the top.
See, if Godzilla was coming in this direction, I would run the other direction. They all seem to be running with him instead of opposite him.
There's always that car that gets stuck in the tracks, huh?
Well, this is the other joke, too. It's, monsters were always destroying trains. King Kong versus Godzilla destroyed the train. Godzilla 54. Mothra and Destroy All Monsters destroys the train. Ronan picks up the trains.
I guess the model train's easy to set up.
Well, but you think about it. How did people get around? Back in the 50s, not everybody you didn't have 3 cars to a family. You didn't hop on a plane to go to country because it was expensive. You got around how? You went on by train. So I think it's one of the reasons why you would see a lot of the monsters sit and destroy trains. And this is another great match shot, too, how they sit and they put all the live people on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like even you were saying, like it's the guy in the suit complex, but it's like it's almost at the time, stop motion in the 50s and before, or even up into the 60s, stop motion was a lot more jerky. I always felt than the guy in the suit. If the models were good, and I think it was almost as well, if not better, than just stop motion. A lot of the times.
Well, this works a little better because it's at night also, so you're not seeing the big bright, seams of the costumes and the wires being pulled. That whole set of stuff.
Yep. But again, it works. Again, they said if you did the stop motion, it might have been a little jerkier. But again, do you know how long it would take them to probably just do that scene in stop motion? And
the damage was severe, but they don't mention a death count.
Where?
The train or anything of that. They're like, the damage was severe.
Here's another added scene. And I admitted as a kid, as I sat there going, wow, Godzilla attacks one day, it's a couple days later, and they were able to put all these high tension towers up that fast. That was a little odd. But I believed it.
You mean you never noticed this when you looked out the window? It was there all
Yeah.
along.
Didn't you see all those towers that
Yeah.
just popped up overnight?
They were there.
It is kind of an odd thing, because if you ever did that today, you know how many months it would take to put all those towers up? But here's another thing, too. When you start thinking back, World War II, we used to bomb Japan. This is what like Spielberg wanted to do in War of the Worlds, showing the people fleeing their homes. And you go back years after the war, I'm sure this happened. If you knew there was chances of the city being bombed, you're going to evacuate. And it's rushing on trucks and leaving your home. So again, you put yourself back as the Japanese people. You're getting memories of the war was what, 9 years later?
This is 56.
This is 54.
The war ended in 45. So.
This was in 54.
9 years.
Still pretty
when they were
fresh.
filming it. It's still fresh in your mind that, 9 years before, we were being evacuated because of the bombings. And that's something that they actually took out. There is a scene in the original movie that talk about, we got to find a shelter again. I hated doing that. But they were being evacuated, and it's bringing them back to
that's the thing.
that
you don't
happened in the war.
You can't reference that in the American version.
But in the American version, they didn't want to reference
Too
it.
much of a downer.
It's down going, oh, yeah, by the way, that was us bombing them.
Like, oh,
But in the Japanese version, no, that was there. And there's a scene on the train. And like I said, I don't want to go back. I got to find a bomb shelter. Hey, could you find room for me? I want to make sure I'm okay.
Then it's too serious of a film.
It's too serious. And you take that out, it brings it down a couple of notches. But again, that's why the original movie is so much better. This is a good movie, but it loses a bit of the punch in the message.
Right. It's more of a straight monster movie, not so much of a message movie.
Yeah. Where the original Gojira was more of a message. And yes, the United States is Godzilla. Because you think about it, he's now coming back. He's radioactive. We bombed them 9 years before. He's coming back and doing exactly what the U.S. did. So, yeah, it's a metaphor. It's war. War is coming back against their city. And he's also he's tall, but he's a force of nature. You can't stop it. Like the atomic bomb, it was a force of nature that man fooled with and created as a weapon.
All right, let's see if that works. I don't think it's going to work.
I think it works for a split second.
Bzz, bzz.
Here's a little factoid coming up that the director, that's his hand. They say that was Honda's hand that pulled the switch to turn on the electricity. And Honda, I didn't talk about. He was the the director of the movie.
All those models destroyed.
Another great piece of trivia that's coming up. Godzilla, obviously, he's destroying all the towers. And there's a scene that, if I'm not going to spoil it, let me wait till it comes up, because it'll be here in a few seconds. And I'll ask you guys if you know how they did it.
Okay, tell the switch.
Like, it's coming up. You'll see. It's Godzilla destroying one of the towers.
Oh, that's new.
Yep, that's his radioactive. So, any idea how they did this?
Dry ice.
How they
Let them melt.
melted, bent over?
Candle?
Close. They were made out of wax.
Because it seems to be
Yeah, you can
It's
tell
all
collapsing on
It's
itself.
all made out of wax. They spray painted it, black or silver, and the lights that's on the set was so hot that they just let it sit there and it would melt. And as it melted, it just all collapsed upon itself. And like
Ooh.
these buildings, a lot of the buildings were doused in gasoline, pyrotechniques that were used, obviously, when he blows the fire and everything explodes. That's how it burns so well. Yeah, and And you think about, they designed a lot of these buildings to break. You put them together. It's got to be brittle enough that, if you're walking through it, you hit it, it's going to fall apart and get destroyed.
Like, we'll need all the balsa wood in Japan. That looks like a puppet. Like a handheld.
Yeah, that might have been the puppet. You got the whole commentary.
That's fire.
Lots of fire. And it does look like they fooled a little bit with stop motion. There's a scene that comes up a little later.
Whoa, he's got crazy eyes.
His little bug eyes. That it looks like they sat and did something with stop motion, but realized,
Look at that.
we can't do that. Now it's more like this scene that's coming up.
Oh, yeah.
It's like he fooled with it a little bit. But isn't that so cool? They took the time to create everything in such detail just to destroy it.
I would imagine they would have to storyboard this whole movie. In terms of, destruction shot number 721.
Oh, yeah. Sure they did.
You can't just wing it.
No, because you got to set up your camera angles. Like, this is a cool angle of the tanks.
It's a combination of miniatures that have to fire on a live person.
You had a man in a suit who could barely walk, couldn't see a whole lot. Yet the actor inside, Hiro Nakajima, he got the role because he was good with martial arts and his stamina and his strength. And he actually went to the zoo to figure out how he's going to move. And he was studying animals.
So what did he base it on?
He based it, I think it was bears, the movement of a bear, and how they move, and different creatures. And he was another gentleman that's been at G-Fest a couple of times. And he also met with us in Toho, and he went out to dinner with us. He was at the tour.
Huh.
So you got to remember that other podcast that we have about that
Oh,
Toho,
yeah. It's
Toho
there.
tour. It's
you can
there.
Find it.
You guys can find it if you want to hear about it.
Out.
But just...
Now, let me ask you something. In this earlier version of these films, are his spines associated or related to what he's... that nuclear breath that he has, that fiery breath? Or is this just a dinosaur type of thing?
Yeah, no, it's something, it's associated. His spines will glow before he releases the atomic breath.
It's like charges him up, I guess.
Ooh.
And like that scream was not in the original Japanese version, by the way. But that's another cool scene. You see the outline of him against the fire.
It's the burning of Atlanta.
Well, but
wrong movie.
But take a step back, though. You're burning Atlanta, but it's the burning of Tokyo. Go back as if you're a Japanese citizen and you're watching this movie on the big screen and going, 9 years ago, there were people who lived through this city in flames and how it's being destroyed. And then you look back with us with 9/11, they took out any reference to the Twin Towers. Remember any movies that were around?
Yeah, immediately.
They took them out.
Spider-Man
You can't
2,
see
I
it.
think it was, or something
Spider-Man
like that.
2, yeah. Oh, yeah, we can't see it. You can't show the towers. But yet, this was other times. They kept it in, and you got to see the destruction.
Is that Yankee Stadium?
That's something that would, for a visual, as somebody that lived in Japan, to see your city on fire again, and maybe you lived through it, it's a lot to take in. More trains.
It's like, I want trains. Take me to your
Actually,
train.
what you said was Yankee Stadium.
It looked like it.
I think that was a department store, and it's still standing in Japan. You can actually go by and see it.
But in this shot, it hasn't been destroyed. It's still back there.
Yeah, there are a couple.
Now, this is weird. Why are they slowing it down so much?
Yeah.
That's a weird...
I don't know.
because of the effect. Because of the tails. That's what's happening.
But yeah, as far as I know, that department store is still standing, so you could go to Japan and see it.
So these models of Tokyo is based on real Tokyo.
On real Tokyo.
So...
And again, there was somewhere I read, sorry Mike to cut you off, but Honda, Subaraya, and Tomonoke Tanaka, I think it was him, but they went out into like the Ginza area in Tokyo, and they're looking around, and they're like, well, we can destroy this building, this would be great, we can create it, and we'll blow this up, and they claimed that like a police officer heard it and came over and said like, well, what are you guys doing? And they had to explain that they were a film company, and they're going to destroy.
It wasn't just
the
no
city.
name Acme company factory or whatever.
So could you imagine being the police officer overhearing, "Oh, we're gonna blow this building up. We're gonna set this on fire."
Yeah.
That'd be pretty
Destroy the
funny.
clock tower.
We're gonna destroy the tower. But again, just look at that. The city's in flames.
Which is probably every Japanese nightmare, especially at that time. As you say, it's just 9 years from the war.
Oh.
Exactly. And I think that's why this movie was so powerful for the Japanese people.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Keep talking.
Well, they know they're gone. And if you look close,
Hey,
you see the little people fall too.
Jeez. That's all right. That house broke the fall.
Yeah. More great miniature works. As Steve Martin
He's not very
I don't know where he is that he has such a great view of everything.
Hey,
When you think about it, it's like he can see everything, but he's just hanging around.
Uh-oh. Watch out for the tail.
Nah, then they make it where time to run.
All right, time to pack all these irrelevant books. Oh, that's right, because the movie starts with him after the attack.
After the attack,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is all flash backwards.
It's like Lost, Eat Your Heart Out.
Yeah. Similar to Lost.
Dude, you should run.
He's a reporter. He's like the guys in the tower. You're going to stay as long as possible.
Yeah, he's signing off all right.
Yeah, well, the building he's in gets destroyed. And again, it pretty convincing when they put all that stuff together. It looks like he was on the original set. Meanwhile, he wasn't. He was in California.
Oh, they repeat the shot.
Yeah, I never
That's
understood
weird.
why they did that either.
The second
there you
shot
go.
was much longer.
There's Godzilla's tail going by. You see it in the window, there goes his tail.
He's wagging it. That means he's happy.
There was another movie, I think it was GMK, where it was somebody in a hospital bed. I'll tell you that story in a minute. Now, here's one scene that there's no subtitle. You don't know what she's saying, but if you watch the original movie, she's saying, don't worry, we'll be with father soon."
Oh, what a downer.
Again, downer, yeah. Now, there are a lot of people who argue, and David Collette brings up the fact that, well, do those kids, if the father died in the war, he says that was 9 years ago when the war was finally over. He goes, they don't look like they were 10 or older. He goes, they look all younger. So he doesn't think it's the war. But, it's just a point, though. It's a very powerful line when you're sitting there going, don't worry, we'll be with father soon. She's taking her family and waiting to die.
Now, again, this isn't probably the first time it's ever been done, but do you think this is kind of like modern horror films where they create a horror film where you have a bad guy and then they turn it into a franchise and the bad guy becomes kind of like the anti-hero and all of a sudden it's like everybody's cheering for the bad guy because this guy's a bad guy here.
He's strictly a bad guy.
But on future films, he's not.
No. He does turn into the good guy. He becomes a defender of Earth. So.
it was the other monsters that attacked first. And
Right.
But is that the thing? Is he kind of like a Freddy Krueger or a Michael Myers type of character where because you want to see so many sequels to it, you have to cheer for him at that point?
Well, I think down the road they had to reinvent him, make it different stories. So
no,
again,
at this time there was no continuity between movies. That this is part one, so the sequel is linear to. Part 2 is like, okay, it's a direct sequel, or did they just start over and say, okay, this is Tokyo wasn't attacked in the last movie. This is
Man, you see a lot of lines there.
Yeah, when Gigantus the Fire Monster, they do try to connect it and make it more of a sequel. There is a deleted scene at the end that's not in the American version that kind of explains how they did that.
But most of the time, it's like a brand new movie.
It's all brand new movies, yeah. Yeah, there was not many movies where they tried to connect them all together.
That's funny. You don't see the wires so much on the planes, except when they're firing the rockets.
When they're firing the rockets, yeah. But here's the thing that saved the day was the Japanese Air Force came in, start shooting all the rockets, and was able to to drive Godzilla away.
Back to the sea.
See, now you go back to all the death and destruction, back to where we started from. But again, this is one of the first movies that you never really saw the aftermath. Godzilla and Rodan, Moth, they destroy all these buildings, but like nobody ever got hurt, died.
It's a battle
You
royale
never saw
at
it.
that point.
Yeah.
It's just a free-for-all.
Yet, in this, they're showing what happened. And I'm trying to remember, they're going to show the little girl being tested for radiation again.
Yep.
So again,
There's
back
the
of her
other
head.
actress. And some random doctor. Oh, no, that's the other guy.
That's Ogata. But yeah, it was clever the way they put it in.
But who are they talking to in the original film?
Well, they're talking to like each other or some other characters. They just took it as a
'Cause they-
scene away.
But
and
they
just,
look like they were both looking down at somebody. See,
Yeah.
she's looking down at somebody in a bed or something.
Yeah. I don't totally remember. You think I should? I've watched these movies enough times. Okay, now you get to find out
Oh,
what.
she's looking up now.
Well, now you get to find out what she saw, because now they're gonna go over
Oh, and the fish guy.
with the fish tank.
Okay, let's see what he got. What do you got? What do you got?
Yeah, you'll like it, because you're warped.
Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. All right. It's a filter.
It blows bubbles. Yeah.
Jacuzzi. What? What?
But all the fish died. They're now
Oh.
skeletons, and then they disappear.
So I don't get it.
That's what he created.
A bomb that kills the animals or the live.
He created something called the oxygen destroyer. It removes all the oxygen out of the water, and it will liquefy the fish, and it kills them.
So this is a potential weapon against Godzilla.
Yep.
Okay, we can use
But
it.
now you got to think about this too, where he's created or he's discovered something that is just as powerful or more powerful than Godzilla, than the atomic bomb that created Godzilla.
It's almost like a hydrogen bomb or a neutron bomb or something.
Yeah, I guess you could put it that way. But you think about this though, he's created something that can, maybe it'll kill Godzilla, which.
But what
I
will
think
it
if
do
everybody-
to the other animal? Yeah.
Oh. But the thing is, you can take water and kill all the fish, kill all the creatures inside.
It's like
Now-
a nuclear arms race type of metaphor.
Think
like
about.
Godzilla is such, we had the atomic bomb, and Godzilla could almost beat the atomic bomb, so we gotta figure a way to kill Godzilla.
So how will nature act against this weapon, and then how will we act against that weapon?
But now, right, but you create something that's more destructive than the atomic bomb. Now, remember, Japan is an island nation. What are they known for?
Fish.
Fish. Now you take a government or somebody who decides to, let's put it through all the oceans, destroy all the fish. You ruin their economy. Now that's their food supply, because they eat mostly rice and fish. Do you know how destructive that is?
Well, not just Japan, to the world.
But
Think
even
about
to the world. Right, you drop that into a lake, wipe out all the fish. So, that's why he's like, I know what you're talking about.
You big mouth.
Yeah. But it's not funny. I mean, it was a promise she made.
Well, what does he want it for if he doesn't want to share it?
The thing is, well, he created it. He doesn't want anybody to know about it because he's afraid it's going to be used like the atomic bomb.
But how does he want to use it?
Well, they want to use it to destroy Godzilla.
No, how does the scientist want to use it as?
Well, that's it. He
doesn't
doesn't
know
want.
yet?
He doesn't know yet.
Oh, okay.
He created it. He discovered it, but he has no use for it, and he does not want to. He doesn't want to give out the formula and explain what it is until he can find a good use for it. But what kind of good use is it if it destroys life? He doesn't want it used. Doesn't want it out. But everybody else, they want him to use it to destroy Godzilla.
Sorry, I beat you up.
Well, fit of rage.
Fisticuffs.
And it is kind of interesting, too, when you look at it. The whole fight scene you never saw, it was panned to the fish. And you hear it, but you really didn't see it, and then it comes back to, like, the aftermath.
Mad scientist.
Yeah, but is he truly mad? I know you keep saying mad scientist.
Give him an eye patch. All he needs is a hook.
A scar.
And a scar, yeah. Okay, Peter. Who's Peter Pan?
Yeah. The evil Spock in Star Trek is, goatee and scar.
Yes, put the goatee on.
Goatee.
Yeah, and even in the Japanese version, this dialogue is much bigger. And he talks about how, because men are weak. The human race is weak. We would take it and use it as a weapon without thinking of the consequences. Going back to, yeah, we use the atomic bomb, but nobody used it. What's the consequences?
Whoa, changed his hairstyle.
And that's why he's all broken up about, yeah, it's out there, someone knows about it, but he doesn't want to use it. He's torn. He's torn in two ways. Yeah.
Yeah, but what choice do you have? You gotta stop Godzilla. So it's like World War II.
But in a way, they're making their own argument, because you could say, well, the Americans dropped the bomb because they thought there was no other choice. So they're kind of arguing their own arguments.
And again, going back to a prayer for peace, which is a very haunting.
Oh yeah, this is definitely a World War II reference. I mean,
but again, more. I don't remember where Fukube got this music. I think he did write this. And I think some people tried to figure out where he did get the whole chorus and the children, but I don't think many people found out. I know there's been...
don't need no education.
No, it's not Pink Floyd The Wall.
Oh, sorry. Japanese.
Yeah.
Well, you did say they like to put musical numbers in the middle of the films.
But... Exactly, yeah.
This is kind of a musical number.
It is kind of, but it's got a different message. It's so... I don't know what the right word.
Sad?
It's sad. Yeah, it's a good way to put it. Just a sad tune, yet we're praying for peace.
So are they going to use the ultimate weapon to kill Godzilla? Or they hope Godzilla just to go away? Or...
Well, what do you think, Carlos? Are you going to let him just walk away, or we're going to use the ultimate weapon?
Yeah.
It's either the ultimate weapon, or we create some kind of device that sells underwear in the streets of Tokyo out of soda machines. Which one could it be?
I think he's going to use the weapon.
The weapon?
Because that's Japan's future. Right. Isn't it interesting how he used children to have the prayer for peace?
Oh, innocence of children.
And that's their future. Right. Japan's future is there.
Yeah, okay, sure.
So the government gets a hand.
It sounds good to me. Okay, bye. We'll take it.
Well, but that's...
what are you doing?
Well, he's burning his notes.
She's like, I love him again.
But again, but think about what he's doing. Yeah, he's burning his notes. That's been his life, his dream. He's a scientist. And he's destroying his life's work.
Ooh, that was weird.
Yeah, and this is the other scene too, where everybody started laughing again because of her responses. I remember watching the movie, and I'm like, and I went in the movie when I was watching it in Manhattan, and I went, it's not funny. But people all thought that was funny to watch her.
It's an awkward
her reaction.
But it's just an awkward way cinematically to display that. It was like a jump cut.
Well, it's just more of her crying. But you got to feel bad for Dr. Serizawa.
Oh, is that the thing that you took a picture with?
I held one of those. There were two of those. I held One of the original oxygen destroyers. Yeah.
Little did you know. Oh, and there's the thing, the
And
masks,
the diving helmet.
the helmets.
Yep, one of the helmets.
I remember that.
Yeah, those are the two. What a day.
Oh, he's
Go
got a
listen
scar
to-
on his face now. He's the bad guy.
Go listen to that podcast. But what a day in Toho Studios. But I'm just saying, going back, think about it. That was his life's work. Up in flames and smoke and fire. He's destroying it because he knows why. Because all the information of how to create the oxygen destroyer is in his head. And he basically doesn't want anybody else to get a hold of it. Because again, in the original Gojira movie, he talks about like man is so frail, we're so easily manipulated because we're not strong enough to take on this knowledge of the oxygen destroyer, the way they took the A-bomb and destroyed it.
Now, on future films, do you know why they did not continue on a serious tone?
Well, the
On
second
such a
one,
serious
the
tone?
second one was kind of serious, and then it just changed.
Oh, he's there.
Like anything, it just morphs.
So how did they shoot this, Mike? A little fish tank in front of him? A fish tank in front
Either
of the actor?
smoke or through a fish tank.
Because I just saw some fish swimming in front of Godzilla.
Yeah, I think they
they're-
might
and
have.
they're in
I can't
focus.
swear to it, but
It's a big
I think
tank.
they took a tank and you film through the tank and it looks like he's underwater. Or the other thing like, some people used to do was smoke, but I don't remember if they used smoke.
Yeah, but you can't fake the bubbles.
Yeah.
No, it's the same thing as they showed the close-up of the man's face. He looked like he didn't stick glass. Looked like he was like and he's
Yeah,
underwater.
that could be a one of those giant walking tanks where you can just shoot.
like that.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess it was.
Yeah, that's no bubbles. So that could be anything.
And again, a Fukabe score, that slow, just that slow tune.
That morning,
Morning,
That-
just
that
morose,
sad.
sad. Yeah.
You know, was they going to destroy their part of the ocean?
What is
Maybe
he
the whole
doing with
ocean
that?
even,
Is
who
that
knows?
flashlight to guide him in, to draw him in? That strobe light?
No, I think it was just flashlight to,
Oh.
I guess, to see. Well, that was the other thing, going back to some of the music when like Godzilla was attacking Tokyo, and that the way Fukabe composed the music, it sounds like bum bum, and just imagine a giant creature walking. It was like footsteps. If you look back at that scene.
Now, let me ask you something. Are there other versions of this film in terms of, is there like an Italian version with an Italian actor, or did they just, this is the only alternate?
I don't think so.
So
Don't know. It's a good question. I'd have to.
I guess you could take
I would
this
have
version
to-
and dub it in Italian or
Yeah.
French or something.
I'd have to go back to some of my other counterparts that are real experts.
So the Raymond Burr of Italy didn't do this movie.
It's what?
The Raymond Burr of Italy, didn't do.
Nah, I
the
guess not.
Italian version.
And now he's got scars.
Okay, guys, everybody leave.
Yeah, the kind of funny thing they're all smiling. Why are they smiling? Nothing's happened yet.
See, he doesn't make sounds when he walks on the water.
Yeah, not always. But for dramatic purpose, I guess later on you want to hear the footsteps.
Oh, it's like, oh.
Boom.
Boom. And now it gets
Bloop, bloop,
the
bloop, bloop,
oxygen
bloop.
destroyer is
Uh-oh.
released.
Sushi time.
So remember, that thing was heavy. The thing was big, too.
See, but Mike, underwater,
big and
it doesn't
heavy.
weigh as much.
Oh, is that
You
what
forget
it was?
that.
Oh.
Come on, Mike.
But I
please.
held that in my hand. I
Try
had
to-
the oxygen destroyer in my hand.
Try to keep up, Mike. Come on.
Just be like,
Yeah.
drop it.
Now, don't you feel sorry for Godzilla?
Why? We know he's going back in 17 other
No.
movies.
Well, wait a minute.
Oh,
Don't
yeah.
you want to feel sorry for him?
I feel sorry for
I feel worse for
all
the scientists.
the fish and the way they're
and
destroying
and
their
the
own.
crap people are going to be eating for the next 20 years.
Yeah, but he's a monster. Yeah, he was a monster. He attacked and destroyed the city. Don't you feel sorry for him?
No, he got his what he deserved.
He was a dinosaur awoken by
Misunderstood
radiation.
dinosaur. Yes. Now he's gonna turn into a skeleton, like in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, but
What's he doing?
what's he doing?
Let's see. That's the air line, and that's the
Yeah.
other line. Oh, he cut his air.
Killed himself. Because, again, he doesn't want the oxygen destroyer to be used again. Yeah, a noble act. Now, the other thing, too, is they cut out some other dialogue where he knows that Ogata and Emiko are in love, and he actually says I forgot what it was. No, be happy together. I think actually they did say that, but it's his way. He saved the world. He's destroyed Godzilla. You can't use his invention again, and you have the happy ending with the couple. But you feel sorry for Godzilla. He's getting killed off in the movie. Yeah, he was the bad guy, but that last roar and he gets dropped down to the ocean.
Giant aquasis.
I want to see a gigantic Godzilla skeleton.
And you will, sort of. But you gotta look close because he pops up.
Oh, cool! I've never seen that before.
Yeah, and he disappears.
See, I always thought that it was implied that they killed him, but you never actually saw him get killed.
Yeah, no, this is one of the few movies where you actually do
There's
see
an
him
ending
killed.
to it.
There's an ending, yeah. He's gone.
No, in Hollywood, no. It was
But in
a
Hollywood,
sequel
exactly,
now.
he does come back.
It's his mother.
See,
Thank you, Mrs. Voorhees.
but that's where, but that's where there's another scene that's eliminated, and what's his name? Dr. Yamane sits there and goes, "I can't believe that he would be the only creature to survive."
Uh-oh.
He goes, "If we continue using atomic weapons, he says we can create another Godzilla." But again, that's all gone.
Forget
That's
it. You have-
taken out.
You have Monster
You
Island
just show
coming.
him sitting there. So.
Yeah, a whole family of
That-
bizarre creatures coming.
That's right. It's a very good movie. It's enjoyable. But if you got the Criterion Blu-ray, watch the original. It's just a totally different tone. But again,
there you go.
It's a great movie to watch.
Steve Martin.
There were so many
Raymond
things
Burr.
that were done. No, there's so many good things with this movie that it's a classic. And how we didn't even get into how other movies borrowed from this, like Jurassic Park. When you would hear the T-Rex stomping, same thing. Where did he get it from? Spielberg took it from the original Godzilla movie. The impact tremor, the footsteps, the boom.
And like you said, this has many, many official sequels. It has a remake that we're going to talk about in a different podcast. And as we speak, they are producing, probably even shooting, I don't know, a new one. A reimagining,
Yes.
rebooting, something.
2014 is when it's coming out, so they probably didn't start shooting it yet.
From the director of
60th
Monsters.
anniversary.
Yeah, I guess. I'm not sure if I'm looking forward to that movie or not.
Yeah,
Because it's... I'll see it. Same as I saw that other piece of garbage movie, but we'll talk about that in another podcast.
For another time. Again, this is the old styled credits where they give you... Obviously now it's like 5 minutes of credits you see, but now, back then they didn't used to go that crazy over giving everybody
this
credit.
Is pretty much it. The funny thing too is they use the background from those credits in Ultraman.
Oh.
They've used it in a couple of movies.
I guess it's a Toho,
Toho.
staple.
Yeah, a little bit. Actually not Toho, because Ultraman was Subaraya Productions.
Now, Mike, as far as the classic, I don't want to call this horror. This is like sci-fi kind of monster movie. Is this the top of the monster movies for you? Bigger than Kong?
Yeah. More of the original, not this one, not this version, King of the Monsters, but the original Godzilla movie. Again, it's just so much different because they chopped this movie up to make it work. They took out so many little things. The overall feel of the movie is different, but it's still there, but it's not as good as the original. But yeah, for me, monster movie wise, Gojira is the top of the list.
And what comes after this? The animated cartoon version?
The what?
Do you remember the cartoon Godzilla?
Which one? Hanna-Barbera? From the depths, 30 stories high, breathing fire. He stands in the sky.
There was a Godzuki in it that looked nothing like the Godzuki from this one.
Godzilla.
From this series.
And Godzuki.
Who looked like a dinosaur instead of a little fat kid.
Yeah, well, they had to. It was Saturday morning cartoons. That was still a fun cartoon. At least Godzilla breathed fire. And he had laser beam eyes.
Well, you could do things in animation that you can't do here, obviously.
So.
But, well, I would like to thank both Michael Sutton and Michael Conway for joining me today on this commentary of the original black and white 1956 Godzilla, King of the Monsters. Wow, that's a long title.
And that he was. He is the king.
And please join us again next time when we will do another one of these commentaries or just a regular...